Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Art of MMA. I'm your host, Mike Ginn. We have reached episode number 25. We are a quarter way to 100, believe it or not. We're still just trucking along. But I did not do it myself. I'm joined as always. I'm talking about professional kickboxer, glory vet, pissed off wrestling fan. I'm talking about the mechanic, Brandon Cuttino. Brandon, what's up, buddy?
Man, I'm doing better than the Hurt Business was doing last night, but I'm good, man.
Yeah, that's a whole off-air topic, man. I can't believe that shit. And joining us once again, I don't know if he's crazy or he just loves coming back. Where do I start with the description of this guy? Professional MMA fighter. You've seen him in Bellator and UFC. He helped develop Brave. If you watch Fight Pass, he's the color commentator for Lux, and he's probably got about 85 different projects going on right now. I'm talking about Extremo, Alex Soto. Alex, what's up, buddy? Welcome back.
Hey, thanks for having me, Mike. What's up, Brandon? How are you?
Good, man. Good to have you back with us.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. It's always fun talking about MMA, man. I love this stuff.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to have more of a full house than just me and Brandon bouncing off each other for a week. But as we all know, Brandon, it's time to plug real quick. If you look over at Brandon, he's got his Art of MMA tee. I got mine as well. We're going to have to get Alex one as well. But we just launched a new one. You check out the website. We got the new Gracie Legendary shirt as well. You'll see the promo link above. Use the promo link Gracie. You will save 20% on all your purchases at artofmma.com/shop for the week. Promo code Gracie. But guys, we got some major stuff to talk about this week. We got people coming back. We got fights set up. We have a brand new heavyweight champion and the return of Bellator coming up this weekend. So a lot to talk about. Let's go ahead and jump right into this week in MMA. First up, right almost as usual, right after we get off the air last week, the announcement that kind of like surprised everybody, the return of Miesha Tate, former StrikeForce champion, former UFC champion. She's going to be coming back July 17th. Marion Renault, and an ironic twist, is going to be Marion's retirement match, and the person coming back from retirement, Miesha Tate. Brandon, what can we expect from Miesha?
I mean, hopefully hopefully her striking game has got a little bit better. I mean, she's always had her wrestling, so hopefully that has improved. With her time away, body's probably healthier. Because she really wasn't doing doing any fights. She was being a mom.
Her nose has got to be healthier. That was a big thing Dana said. Like he said, don't fix your nose. I'll fix it after your career. Do not touch it, because as soon as you get touched in your nose in a fight, you're going to crumble. Yeah. And right before the Amanda fight, she got the nose surgery. And then she crumbled as soon as Amanda touched her, which she might have done that anyway. That's Amanda Nunes.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it though. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing her back in there.
What do you think, Alex? You excited to see her back?
Yeah, I am. I think she's figured it out. That I think when I first heard that she was coming back, the first thing I think is like, okay, I got to see how that fight went at UFC 200, I believe, when she fought Amanda Nunes, and see if there was if there was something that I missed, and she had some, as short as that fight was, she did have a couple of wins, these short little tiny battles in that fight where she was able to kind of do a lot better than, because that's when Amanda Nunes was going on a tear, and so she had a couple of moments in that fight that I think she feels that she can do better in this fight. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope that she comes back, gets the win, and then tries to get that run for the belt.
Yeah, I almost think getting the win is irrelevant. Just the fact, because if she's been off for 4 years, if she comes back and even loses to a veteran like Marion, I don't think it might slow down any momentum she has to like all of a sudden jumping up and fighting a big name fighter. But just the fact that she's gotten back in the cage after this long is going to be fun to watch, especially, we talk every week how Amanda has no real challengers left in that division because she's gone through everybody. This could be a fresh face for her to somebody like at least name value to get back in the cage with, especially since it's been that long. Speaking of returns, it looks like it's official. Last week we talked about Oliveira and Chandler for the lightweight title at 155. Now we know officially, we knew it was coming anyway, but July 10th, I don't think they've named the venue yet. I know it's going to be a UFC pay-per-view, but Conor McGregor and Poirier are going to run it back third time, break the tie. Alex, what do you think? You think it's going to be same fight as last time? You think it's going to be the same time as first time? Brand new fight? What do you think is going to happen?
Ooh, I think it's going to be a new fight, man. I think it's going to be completely different than that second fight. I think Connor's going to adjust like he always does. He's not going to be the same guy. I think he underestimated Poirier on that second run around, and I'm looking forward to it, man. I think it's going to be both a mental check for Conor McGregor, and then I think it's also going to push him to become that much better, man. I'm excited about seeing the trilogy on this.
I'm excited for the trilogy too, but Brandon, actually, I think the funniest thing in this whole story is that Justin Gaethje, who can't seem to get a fight anywhere right now since the Khabib fight, isn't the backup on the Chandler Oliveira fight. He's the backup on the Conor Dustin fight. What do you think of that, Brandon?
I think.
I'm sorry. I was gonna say, man. I think it's like Poirier. He's probably about that money fight too. You know, he wants to get that money.
I feel like he's getting kind of screwed because he said he wants to fight. And they don't have anything to offer him. So I don't really know how that's going to all work out. Brandon, what do you think? Do you think the fight's going to go any differently this time?
Usually when you do a trilogy, and I think it always says in the stat, like it's the stats. Like, I mean, I just watch fights, but when the stats, it's usually the second person, the person who wins the rematch usually wins the third one as well, because now it's up to the first person who won to kind of adjust. But usually the second person. Now, yes, I think it could be different. I think Conor might have a different approach. But again, just like you guys are, man, I'm just excited for the fight.
It's ironic because I think that was the last time Alex was on the show right after that fight, and neither one of you let me get a word in. So it's nice to be able to talk again. So thank you guys.
Yeah, no problem.
Also in the news, we're talking about Woodley had something to say for Mike Tyson. Mike came out. I think she took it out of context personally. Maybe it's the translation. She didn't quite get it. Tyson did kind of gush over Rose, but he wasn't really saying that Rose is going to kick her ass. If you go back and read the transcript, basically Tyson said Rose isn't going to be a walkover, you know, and it's going to be a tough fight, you know, and then he kind of started gushing about how beautiful she is and how dangerous she is and she's a killer. But in no time did he say that she's going to beat Woodley. Like, he just basically said, you know, I respect her and it's going to be a good fight. Woodley took it the wrong way, said Tyson needs to stick to boxing. If he wants to do MMA, come do an MMA fight and then talk. Brandon, I'll start with you. Do you think Woodley's overreacting a little bit?
Yeah, man, she's just overreacting. Man, it's just somebody who is a fan of Rose just gushing over Rose.
And he is an MMA fan.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly. He is an MMA fan too, because I've actually seen him at MMA events. I remember at the last PFL event that they had in New York City, he was there, and I got to see him. But I mean, I think it's like what you said. It could have been a lost in translation maybe, but yeah, she's just overreacting.
And Alex, we haven't had a chance to get your opinion on it. What do you think about that matchup with Woodley and Rose?
Oh man, I think Woodley's gonna win that fight. I think Rose is a badass. I'm a huge fan of Rose Namajunas.
Careful, don't be promoting Rose. Woodley might come after you.
But I'm saying, yeah, exactly. No, I gotta watch out. But Woodley is just gonna be. She's got way too much, just technique, man. Her technique is awesome, man, and her durability. I mean, it got tested out with Jon Jones, and it was an incredible, like, just display of durability and being able to take a bunch of punches and punishment in the early rounds, and then just winning by technique. I mean, she won that fight against Joanna with just pure technique, and that's what really saved her. And she was technical, really elusive in the movement. So that's going to be a great fight. And I think with Rose, she's a little bit more gritty. She's a little bit more, throws down and throws those. She's got, the thug attached to her. She lives up to her name very well. And so it's going to be technique against brute strength. And I think at that weight class, it's all about technique and speed. So
I said in the beginning, I think it depends on Rose's mental state.
Like everything around Rose is really when she's locked in. When she's locked in, you've seen some of the best of Rose. When she is letting the outside world kind of affect her, whether it's the situation with Conor throwing the dolly through the window, whether it's early in her career where she kind of was like not really sure of who she wanted to be, even before Ultimate Fighter and into Ultimate Fighter. And when she settled down and got in that rhythm, she was extremely hard to beat. And let's be real, if it wasn't for that slam by Andrade, that was questionable whether it was even legal. But I mean, I don't think those slams should be illegal anyway. I think if you can pick somebody up and slam them, it just happens to be what it is. You don't try. I don't think anybody tries to spike somebody directly on their head and try to kill them or something like that. But
she had all the control.
She was winning that fight. She was winning that fight, and then she got slammed, and that would have screwed up anybody. It would have messed up Weili if it had happened.
But that's what I mean. Like Rose had the chance to let go.
And she
did. I'm saying? That's why it's legal. Because she had full autonomy on being able to let go and not get slammed.
Yeah, she thought she could probably hold on through it or something.
Yep.
But that's going to be a fun fight. That's going to be a fun fight, and it's one of the many coming up this summer that's going to be just exciting. Let's get over real quick, talk about a couple things, and then we'll get on to talking about some fight changes. But in a story that just can't go away because we need a rematch and we need it to happen yesterday, Sterling basically came out this week, said he feels like Jan's being rewarded for rule breaking, that, you know, he's kind of changed his stance a little bit. When it first happened and Peter Yan hit him with a knee, he felt like he shouldn't have been the champion. He felt like he didn't deserve it. And then he's transitioned to this, talking about wrestling. He kind of did a face turn, right, Brandon? Like he went from being like the underdog and everybody was kind of bashing him for like they thought he was acting and he was playing it up. And then he started embracing it. Like, all right, cool. I'm the champ now. What are you going to do? And now he's all the way saying that Jan doesn't even deserve a rematch because he broke the rules, and the rules are the rules. And if you get disqualified for something you do intentional, you shouldn't be rewarded for a rematch. Well, I happen to disagree because I think Jan was winning that fight. It was heading the wrong direction for Sterling. Sterling was fading. He could have come up with a big finish in the end. You never know. This is MMA. Anything can happen in a fight. But it wasn't going his way. And if Peter Yan doesn't throw that knee, Sterling is not the champion right now, in my opinion. What do you think of the whole story, Brandon?
I understand where Roger Sterling's coming from, because it's like, yeah, you did something illegal. You shouldn't get rewarded for getting a rematch for a title. But we all know it's the fight game. That's what's going to happen. He's going to get his rematch because that's the fight that everybody wants to see. But like, again, though, I can see what he's saying, because he's saying like you did something that you shouldn't have done. You broke the rules, so you shouldn't get rewarded for it. But like saying, it's all about entertainment, and if that's the fight that people want to see, then that's the fight that people are gonna probably get.
Do you think this is more? And actually, I'll ask you this, Alex. Do you think this is more Sterling angling for a different fight so he doesn't have to fight Jan next?
Oh man, I think at this level, with when you're talking about the top 5 guys battling for that championship belt, I don't. These guys are proven athletes, and they're they don't just hand over a championship belt, man. These guys are mentally strong and durable, and willing to fight anybody, anytime, any place, and really have the ability to win those fights.
Except Jon Jones. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah. So when
we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, exactly. But when we're talking about Sterling doing this to avoid the fight, I really don't think that's the case. I think in this case, we're talking about some of the things that both of these fighters are lacking is really is popularity. These guys aren't they're not
household names. Yeah,
they're not household names. They're not the Conor McGregor. So I really think what Sterling's approach in this fight and what he's doing in this war of the war of words here is he's one, implementing a mental attack on Jan, which could work for something, maybe not. It doesn't matter. He doesn't really care. But it's also providing publicity for him and his fight. So I think
I think he's doing a good job with that. And I think he's really creating this buzz of talking about this fight, talking about the illegal blows, getting technical about it, getting all lawyered up about it, to bring in, interesting discussions like the ones we're having now. So yeah, I think
I guess there's a side to that. Yeah, he could be playing it up a little bit, get more press for it, because it has kind of disappeared out of the headlines the last couple of weeks. The UFC is moving so fast with so many different things. You just had the heavyweight championship. You're talking about the lightweight championship. You're talking about Conor McGregor. You're talking about everything but Aljo and what happened with that knee now just a few weeks later. So there is probably something to be said about that, but I do think he's being kind of a diva a little bit and kind of dancing around the fact that, you know what, this is going to be a hell of a rematch. Everybody wants – he does say in the article that he knows it's the fight people want to see and he gets it. But Jan was the champ. At the very least, losing your belt, you probably deserve a rematch. So it's probably going to get a rematch anyway, unless it was some like monster knockout, which we'll talk about later with that too. But there wasn't a finish like that. Aljo didn't win the fight like that. He won via disqualification. It was a legitimate win. It was a legitimate foul. He paid the price by losing his belt. That's probably enough. You know what? How much more do you want to punch the guy? He lost a UFC championship. Let's run it back. Let's see who the best guy is. And that's what needs to be done, whether Aljo wants to run it back or not. I do hope him and Matt – I hope, even though Matt Serra said he's retired, I hope Matt Serra's in his corner because Aljo's just a much better fighter with Matt around. So last bit of news before we hop into some fight announcements. It's all over, guys. No more Reebok fight kits. It's all done. We kind of knew for a while. It's been under the radar. It hasn't been a major story. But Venom has taken over now officially, starting the next event with all the UFC fight kits. No financial terms, as usual, have been announced by Dana and crew, but it does appear that they're going to get, by people that seem to think they know anyway, I'm not going to jump out on that ledge, but that fighters are going to be paid a little bit better through the Venom deal because they're more of an MMA company and they're more invested in MMA apparel and merchandise. So for them, it makes more sense. Reebok made a pretty penny on this deal through their association with UFC, but Reebok, for all intents and purposes, in my opinion, this is not speaking for the UFC, isn't the same company they were 4 years, 5 years, 10 years ago. They faded behind Nike, obviously. They faded behind Adidas, and I think Adidas owns them now, if I'm not mistaken. I think Adidas Reebok. So they're the lesser brand on their own company. If they changed the fight kits to Adidas, I thought that would be cool. But I always thought it should be Nike or Adidas if you wanted to do that. Even Under Armour is a bigger brand at this point than the Reebok brand. So I think it's great for the UFC. I think it's great for the fighters. Alex, you've been in that situation. What do you think about all that? Because they lost the sponsorship. They got forced to wear certain fight kits. At least now it's back to an MMA clothing company.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting because, after looking into how the Reebok deal worked and how it was kind of creating kind of a negative nostalgia for the fans going, oh, Reebok's treating the athletes like crap. And even now, you see that Dana White said that this new deal is going to be even better for the fighters, right? And one of the ways that Reebok was able to control that narrative, really what was happening was, okay, Reebok as a brand was not doing, was not recognized very well publicly by, to how they were paying the fighters. But one of the things that it was doing that was working was that every single UFC fighter was loaded with Reebok gear and was on Instagram, essentially acting as these influencers, as
brand ambassadors.
If you want to be the best in the world, you got to wear Reebok gear, and you started seeing that. So the last time I was looking into that, Reebok was actually coming out on top and doing really good on sales. Now this was about 4 years ago, so things might have been changing, and I think maybe it was no longer lucrative for Reebok's image to have this this negative kind of partnership with the UFC and how it paid their fighters.
Yeah, and Brandon, I'll swing this to you. I feel like the UFC hasn't even mentioned Reebok in years. Like, you see it on the uniforms. But when was the last time they even mentioned Reebok? How do you feel about Venom taking over?
I mean, I'm cool. I'm cool with Venom being the company. Like you said, you know, they are an MMA apparel company. So I mean, they know, you know, they know what things should look like. I mean, you know, you got to see what their kits look like. You know, what their prices are going to be. And, you know, I mean, the only thing I just think of is just, man, there's another deal that, of course, the UFC is saying is better for the fighters, but the fighters weren't in on it. You know, it's not like they were the ones talking to Venom, because I just read somewhere where, like, I believe the Reebok deal was supposed to be worth like $60 million for the fighters, but I think in total the fighters only got a total of like 37 million. So where did that other money go? You know?
Well, I think the article actually said, I think it was like 37, 39, something like that. But that the fighters only got a fraction of it. They don't even know where the rest of that money went.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. So yeah. So it's just like, whoa, like, where's this other money going to? You know, like, you know, it's supposed to be good for the fighters, but the thing is, though, they're not really getting all the money that they're supposed to be getting from this deal. So I mean, you just hope that the Venom deal will be better. You know, that they will get more money, but in reality, you just want them to get the money that they all deserve.
I feel like that if you're going to do a corporate deal, and it's never going to be fair to like the bottom card fighters, right? Like, it's never going to be fair to the guy. Like we were just talking about, like Conor McGregor is going to get paid more than, say, Jamie Simmons. Like there's going to be, and I'm sorry, I just looked at the fight announcements. I'm like, oh, there's a name. Like, the guy that's on the bottom of the preliminaries is not going to get paid, but the guy in the main event's going to get paid. And they shouldn't, to be quite honest. You work your ass off to get to a certain level. You know, Conor McGregor didn't get to be Conor McGregor by accident. He went and knocked out a bunch of people. He beat a bunch of people. If he didn't win a fight, people wouldn't care. He'd be a loudmouth that nobody listened to. You know, you look at NFL, you look at the Terrell Owens and Deion Sanders. You look at baseball, it's the guy who does the home run trot and flips the bat. You look at basketball, LeBron and all these guys. Everybody can back up what they're saying because they put in the work. Francis Ngannou could have came out. He didn't. He was very humble, but he could have came out and trashed everybody. You know why? He just knocked out the greatest heavyweight of all time. So when you put in the work, you deserve to get paid more. But when the payouts are as small as, I think, $3,000 for a fighter, I think, and if you got it's the same thing with the monster deal we've been talking about, where they're kind of picking and choosing who they want to work with. Well, I feel like they should have to work with everyone. They should have to have a brand deal with everyone on that roster, and you get paid accordingly to your ranking, I guess, if you want to do it that way. But there's some people that really got the bare minimum of anything, if they even got any Reebok money, if they were on the bottom of those cards. So that deal didn't work. Hopefully the Venom one does. We won't know for sure because, you know, now that it's a major corporation and does it WME that owns them?
UFC, yeah.
So like now that it's a major corporation, there's even less information coming out. I'm sure like some stock traders, you might find a little bit of information and get it sneaked out. But I do hope it's good for the fighters. I hope it's more money for the fighters because a lot of these guys invest time, especially with COVID. They haven't been fighting, so they're trying to get this money back that they've lost this last year. So I definitely hope so. All right, guys, let's switch over to some fight announcements, and then we'll break down UFC 260. Couple things we've already talked about. Miesha Tate, July 17th. Marion Renault, of course. Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier. They're going to be fighting July 10th, at least according to Dustin's tweet. I've heard pretty much confirmation for that. A couple other things that have been announced. Randy Brown is now scheduled against Alex Oliveira at UFC 261 in Jacksonville. Tim Elliott, we were just talking about him a little bit. He's got a new fight against Sue Madureira at June 26th at an event to be determined. UFC 262, Jacare is back. He's going to be fighting Andre Muniz at the Toyota Center on May 15th. Jennifer Maia, who gave Valentina all she can handle, she's going to be back in the cage against Jessica Ai. I'm assuming that fight might even be a contender fight on July 10th. So we'll see how that kind of works out. Maia already lost her chance, but Ai's been trying to fight her way back. So Bellator is back for the next 3 weeks. We got some exciting fights. We've been talking about those. But one fight has been moved. So we were all excited about the Yoel Romero versus Rumble Johnson. That's been pushed back because of travel issues, I'm assuming, with probably Yoel. I think I heard he went home to Cuba, came back, couldn't get in, whatever. So that just got pushed back a couple weeks to May 7th. And then one other fight I want to bring up, because this is just for you, Brandon. Just announced June 12th, Lauren Murphy versus JoJo Calderwood. I'll give you the floor for a couple seconds to talk about that fight, and then we will move on. Go ahead.
My girl Joanne Calderwood just went on Twitter, was like, "Hey, Lauren Murphy, what you doing? Let's dance." Lauren Murphy responded back on Twitter, said, "Yeah, I'm down if you want to take this L." And then boom, next thing you know, matchmakers agreed, and now the fight's official. I'm looking forward to seeing Joanne Calderwood get that W and hopefully eventually get her title shot that she deserves.
Well, I'm looking forward to picking against you on that fight. And then also one other fight we were just talking about last week, I think, or the week before. Brad Tavares is going to be back in the cage on UFC 264 July 10th against Amari Mekhamedov. So that'll be some more fun fights. Alex, any fights you're looking forward to coming up real quick?
Yeah, we're talking about the Tim Elliott fight is sick, man. That's gonna be a wonky style of Tim Elliott, and with the flashy movement of Sue. So it's gonna be I'm excited about that fight because I've actually seen Tim Elliott fight live, and he's just a fantastic fighter, man. Just one of those guys that you wrestle with, and then he's just on a weird angle, always just awkward. And so I can't wait to see that matchup, unfold. And then Rumble Johnson against Joel Romero. Talk about two freaking genetic beasts mixed together in a cage and locked up, and that's just bound to be a freaking fight of the year contender right there, or knockout of the year.
I can't wait to see that fight, because that's going to be somebody that's going to force Yoel to fight. When he's forced to fight, Yoel puts on a show. But when Yoel can sit there and take his time and be patient, we see what happened with Izzy, and neither guy wants to throw a fight. Anthony's not going to sit back. He's going to go out and try to rip your head off. So it's going to be a fun fight. And I think we talked about it last week real quick. Hannah Goldie, Jessica Penny's been rescheduled for April 17th. So we will see that. Of course, there's no UFC card this weekend. They're all for a couple weeks. So, gentlemen, you ready to talk about everything that happened last week, UFC 260?
Let's do it.
All right, guys. Let's just go ahead, jump right into it. And new, Brandon was right. I was wrong. Last week on the picks, Brandon went 2-1. I went 1-2. For the first time in weeks, we actually had all three fights go down that we picked. I don't know how much you've been following along to the show, Alex, but it seems like every week we're usually pretty good with the co-main and main. I think the co-main dropped out one week, but every time we pick a fight, like one of us has like a fight drop out. So our numbers don't even match. Overall, right now, I'm 16-13. Brandon tied me in the win column. He's 16-14, but he's still a half point behind me at the loss column. And poor Erik Johnson, we're waiting for him to come back on the show. He's 0-3. We're gonna get Alex's picks later. We're gonna get him in the competition, get him going. Maybe we'll do it by win percentage to make it fair for everybody, because me and Brandon obviously pick every week. But let's go ahead and talk about it. We're gonna jump right into the main event. Francis Ngannou, Stipe Miocic. I honestly thought the same thing was going to happen. I really did. And everything went completely out the door when not only did Miocic's, because he was being patient like he was the first fight, not only did his takedown completely look horrible, but the way Francis Ngannou transitioned off that takedown to like take Miocic's back, smack him in the head a bunch of times. I thought the fight was going to be over right then and there. And then just to get up and be patient. Like, we've never seen a patient Francis Ngannou. Alex, you're our guest this week. What'd you think of that fight, man?
I just thought it was amazing, man. You just don't know with the heavyweights, it's so hard to guess.
Yeah.
You have somebody who's so technical and awesome as Stipe is. And then Francis Ngannou, it gets in that with that crazy knockout, man. It was just brutal to watch, man. So anyway, I just thought it was exactly what you want to see in a heavyweight fight. Two very competitive matchup, and then the brutal knockout at the end, man. It was a great fight.
Brandon, just to play a little devil's advocate, not even devil's advocate, if Stipe doesn't lose that 12 pounds that he lost between the last time he fought and this time to get quicker and faster, does that punch that he landed at the end do any more damage, or does Ngannou still just take it and then fire a punch off and knock him out?
I think Ngannou still takes it and knocks him out.
Because he didn't even flinch. He landed a clean shot, and Stipe was like, all right, I got this dude. And Ngannou was like, oh, you're gonna come at me? Okay, night.
Yeah. No, I don't think it really would have. I don't think it really would have made a difference.
So we got a new champion, and the aftermath of the fight is almost as exciting as the fight, because it wasn't even like a minute after the result. Jon Jones is tweeting, "Show me the money." Now, we all knew Jon Jones was next. Whether he was deserving of it, well, that's not even a subject, because undefeated fighter for the history, no matter his personal problems. I personally want to see the Derek Lewis fight. I've been wanting to see that rematch for a while, with both of them actually willing to fight this time. They're both totally different fighters than they were that first time. But Jon Jones has gone from show me the money, which most people take as he doesn't really want the fight because he's going to hold out till whatever. But I don't even know if I agree with that narrative, because he does deserve to get paid for moving up in heavyweight and doing whatever. It's a different contract. It's a different risk. But I also agree, you sign a contract, you fight out your contract. That's another story. But he's gone so far as to be offended by Dana White's comments that he probably should move down to 185. So now he's like, all right, I quit, release me. Y'all have disgraced me. Y'all have disrespected me. I'm done with the way the UFC has treated me. Brandon, I'm going to start with you on this one. I've never seen a bigger diva in all my life, and he's the greatest fighter, or at least one of the top 2 greatest fighters to ever step foot in the UFC octagon. Talent-wise, he's amazing. Skill-wise, amazing. He's beaten everybody not named Matt Hamill in his past. But he always has some reason. He had an excuse for why he got pulled over for the DWI and ran down the street. He got an excuse for why he got popped for coke and everything else like that. He's always got something to say about why he doesn't want to do it. When he gets in the octagon, he's the man. But we have to get him in the octagon. What do you think of all this, man?
I mean, the thing is though, he's been saying, "Show me the money" for a long time. Like
that's why this fight didn't happen a year ago.
Yeah, like I'm saying, like he's been saying this for the longest time, but people now are not. But now people want to say like, oh no, he's just scared of Ngannou. It's like, no, he's been saying this even when he was the light heavyweight champion. When the talk was, okay, he's gonna move up to heavyweight, he was like, hey, Dana White has to pay me. And then next thing you know, he dropped the title, and he was still saying, you guys got to pay me. If you want this fight to happen, I need more money. And of course, people just want to run with it. Like the thing was, like the dude knew he was either going to fight Ngannou or he was going to fight Stipe. Either 2 men are bad dudes at heavyweight. You know, it's like, dude, this is still the same guy that was willing to fight Brock Lesnar. But Brock Lesnar, of course, he never showed up. But so the thing is, like, the dude just wants to get paid. Like that's the things, like these guys want to be compensated for what they're doing. You're expecting the guy again, like I'm going on what you were saying, right? His contract, right? He wanted to fight out his contract. Well, his contract really is for him to be fighting at 205, but now you want him to move up to heavyweight and make this mega fight. Well, show the dude the money. You know, the thing is, like, I think.
But isn't it his choice to move up to heavyweight?
Yeah, I mean, it is his choice, but that's why he hasn't done anything. That's why he said, "Hey, you want me to fight? Pay me." Like he has no problem sitting out and doing it, because I think he has his money. He said that's why I don't think he's like itching to say, "Oh, hey, I need the fight." Like he's not hurting, so he's good. He's good to just wait. But I don't blame him. Dana White straight up did disrespect him, but that's Dana White's thing. Anytime somebody says, "Show me the money," he's like, "Oh, this person, they don't want to fight. They don't want to fight." Like that. Like that is his go-to to try.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Tyron Woodley in a minute, but just look at the way he always disrespected Woodley.
Yeah, you know, but I mean, but like this thing is like, it's like, dude, like. Conor McGregor does the same thing. He always wants more money. He holds out. You know what I'm saying? He wants to get paid. So Jon Jones is doing the same thing. But again, I just think it's just people like Conor. People don't like Jon Jones. So it is what it is. But
I feel like Jon Jones has kind of dug his own grave.
No, yeah, I get it. I'm saying, they both have. I mean, you still have your Conor haters out there too, but it's just more on the, on the fan wise. I want to say, McGregor has more fans. That's all. But like saying, you get somebody like me, like I understand it, because like I always tell you, we're prize fighters. The prize is the money. The dude wants to get compensated. Even Francis Ngannou said the same thing. He was like, yo, if I was to fight Jon Jones, I would want more money as well, but nobody's calling him out about it. That's because probably most people don't know that he said that.
He's
but
also
I think
got 15 pounds of gold over his shoulder.
Yeah, but that's all. I just think it's just like people just forget. Like Jon Jones has been asking for more money for like over a year, But now that Ngannou won, and then of course now you see his tweets out there. Now like, oh, he's scared. It's like, no, the dude's not scared. The dude will fight anybody, But
Alex, what do you think? You think Jones is being over dramatic, or do you think he has a legit case?
No, I think he has got a legit case, man. I think if he's gonna fight for the heavyweight, he wants to get paid, man. And I think that's a fight that would sell. I mean, that would sell bigger.
Oh, no doubt, it would sell out pay-per-view everywhere.
Probably better than any of his fights at the light heavyweight or middleweight. There's nothing, right now really that he probably doesn't even care about the championship belt. All he cares about is getting paid, because he's he's been kind of all over the place with his personal life, and honestly, like, who knows what his mental state is other than getting paid right now. I think that's what's more important to him, and he wants to see those big Conor McGregor type payments. Why shouldn't he? He's the best that's probably ever stepped in that cage.
Yeah, I feel. I mean, everybody kind of knows how I feel about Jon Jones. Like, we had this whole talk with Khabib and Jones, who's the GOAT, why they're the GOAT. But there is no better fighter that's ever fought at 205. And honestly, if he moved up to heavyweight, I said in the beginning, before we saw what Ngannou did this week, that Jon Jones knew every weakness Ngannou had, and Jon Jones would exploit him. He would, destroy him. But then I also said last week before this fight, Ngannou's talked about how he's trained better on the ground, how he's gotten better at jiu-jitsu. But every time we go out in a fight, we haven't seen it since then. Well, he showed a little bit of it this last weekend, and maybe he's telling the truth. I mean, you got a guy that's super hungry. He was just homeless 8 years ago. This guy is still relatively new to the sport as far as top-level fighters go. He's only been in it since like 2013, the end of 2013, which, I mean, both you guys know, this is a lifetime sport. He was like trying to be a boxer and be like Mike Tyson before he ever got into MMA. That's how he was homeless to begin with. If you watch the whole story, because him going to Paris and then he got caught trying to cross the border illegally. But I think the Jon Jones fight will never happen. I feel like Jon Jones will talk himself out of a fight towards Dana's not going to wait, and then Derek Lewis will step up, or there'll be a Stipe rematch. My next question before we move on to the co-main, does Jon Jones even deserve the next shot, or does Stipe, if he wants to come back from this, deserve the next shot because he is the greatest heavyweight that's ever been so far? Alex, what do you think?
Well, I mean, shit, man, when it comes down to this, I don't think Dana really cares about who deserves it. It's all about, who wants to see it, which fight is more appealing to.
It's hilarious. Me and Brandon just both made the same face.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, shit. So, I mean, to rephrase that question is, which fight is more exciting, man? I'd love to see Jon Jones against Francis. That would be one hell of a fight, man. That would be just amazing to just watch that,
Yeah, I mean, Brandon, we just talked about the whole Conor McGregor Dustin thing, and Dustin held out for more money to go for Conor McGregor instead of going for the title. So it was more important to him. But they both have the same kind of story, right? Because what happened the first time Conor came out, knocked Dustin out. Mm-hmm. Stipe came out the first time and dominated Ngannou. Ngannou had his first rush, like bubbled up, like swole up Stipe's eye, but Stipe calmed down, wrestled him the next few rounds and won the fight. The rematch, both of them kind of went out the same way, getting knocked out in the second round. But but everybody's screaming for the Conor rematch because they know that's money. What's the difference here, Brandon?
I think it's because one person is a champion, a former champion, like who had the belt. It was a title fight. I mean, my thing is, man, we all knew that the winner of this fight was gonna fight Jon Jones. Dana White put it out. They all put it out. Everybody.
I mean, you told me offline, like you told me you thought Stipe deserved the rematch too.
Yeah. Well, my thing was, what I was saying was, I could see Stipe getting the rematch because the same thing happened when he fought DC. DC knocked him out, and then he got the next. Actually, no, I'm sorry, he didn't get the next title shot because he fought Derek Lewis real quick. But Stipe had
the eye surgery.
Yeah, exactly. But Stipe held out, and then boom, he got his rematch because that's what he wanted. So that's why I'm saying I can see the same thing happening here as well. Of Stipe, either Jon Jones is next, and then Stipe gets the winner of that fight, or hey, Jon Jones is waiting to get paid. He's like, all right, forget it, and then we'll just give Stipe the next fight if he's ready. If Stipe isn't ready, then I can see Francis getting Derek Lewis like how you want.
Alex, does it make a difference that this was Stipe's quote unquote like first title defense because he just won the belt back? Does that make a difference that it's not a long title reign?
Oh man, does it make a difference?
Because I mean, he did lose it to DC and then have to win it back. This is the first fight since then.
Yeah, no, it doesn't count.
All right.
I don't think, right? Because then it's a different reign. It's a different,
Yeah.
All
right, let's go ahead. Yeah, I agree. Let's go ahead and talk co-main event. We've all thrown Tyron Woodley under the bus. We said he was dead and gone. Came out against Vicente Luque. Looked like T Wood of old for the first few minutes. Came out firing around. Made a mistake, got caught, and then got punished. Two things to know about this fight. This was Tyron Woodley's last fight on his contract. So this is not going to be, before we even get to it, this is not the UFC cutting him. For one, Dana White doesn't actually know how old he is. He tried to age him by a year or two. And secondly, he is right. This is 4 straight knockout losses or stoppages. Alex, I'll start with you. What did you think of the fight, and what do you think is next for Woodley?
Man, Woodley probably, whatever he's going on in his life right now, or in his training camps or something, there's something missing.
He looked better. He looked like he came out like he ready to fight. He hadn't done that in a while.
Yeah, he looked like his own self. Absolutely. And but there's just he doesn't seem. I don't know if it's fight or burnout. When you're we probably know, like, fighters get burnt out. Doing the same thing repetitive over and over again. The stresses of the business. That gets in the head. And then on top of that, you're on your last fight on your contract. And we're prize fighters. This is a prideful event that you're putting it all on the line. So it might be a combination of those things as a training camp, but I don't follow Tyron that closely, so I'm not exactly sure what's happening up in his training camp, or if he needs to change to a different one, or just kind of get out of his comfort zone, perhaps. Even if he has done that already, maybe. But it seems like he's probably lacking one of those balances that he needs. The trifecta is not working out for him right now. But he's still young and he's still very much capable. And I still think he's one of the top 5 fighters, being said that. And so he is absolutely somebody that has still a lot of fight left into him. So I think he's got a bright future.
Brandon, what do you think's next? You always love to throw PFL out there. Dana made it clear that UFC is done. First, what did you think of the fight? But then is Bellator or PFL next, or is he done?
Good fight. It hurt me to pick against Woodley because I'm a Woodley fan, but I just knew Luque was just going to.
He's younger. He's hungrier.
Yeah. I'm also saying he's a tough dude. Luque is a tough dude. He's been in wars. The dude fought Nico Price not once, but I think twice. So hey man, if you can stand and bang with Nico Price, man. He's a wild one as well. You probably stand and bang with a lot of people. But it was a good job by Luque, man. He saw the blood in the water. He went for the kill, and he did. He got it done. You're right, Woodley. He did look like the Woodley of old. He wasn't just waiting on that right hand. He was going forward. He went for a takedown, couldn't get it. But I think he was trying to use his wrestling, but it just didn't work out for him. I know this training camp he did switch things up, because I guess usually with his training camp he usually kind of leads it, he kind of tells his coaches what he wants to do. But I guess this camp he just let his coaches run it. He just listened to them. He just did what they told him to do. And he looked good for the first 30 seconds or first minute of the fight. But then after that, man, Luque, he just took over.
So what's next for Woodley?
If he's gonna stay in the UFC, I would say the rematch with Robbie Lawler, because that was supposed to happen a while back, but then I think Robbie Lawler had got hurt, so they never got that rematch again. But if the UFC is done with him, like how Dana White says, because remember Dana White, he does say a lot of things. I think he's been trying to get out of the Tyron Woodley business even when Woodley was champ. Yeah, I don't think he's ever been a fan. Yeah, I don't think the PFO for Woodley. Because I don't think Woodley wants to fight so many times a year, like a tournament base. So I could see Bellator for him. Scott Coker and him, they used to work together in the StrikeForce. So I could see him going there. And plus too, I'm sure Scott Coker would treat him a lot better than
of course
White did.
Yeah, Scott Coker treats some of his old fighters, especially the ones that helped build him, he treats them like kings and queens. You see it with Cyborg, you see it with, obviously if Woodley came over, he loves those people. Real quick before we move on, what's next for Luque though? Because the guys above him in the rankings, Thompson already beat Luque. Leon Edwards already beat Luque. Now the Edwards fight was a little bit further ago, but those were his last two losses. Masvidal's already matched up with Usman. Covington's sitting there not wanting to fight anybody. And I think Gilbert Burns is willing to fight anybody, but I feel like he just got matched up with somebody. He's in that weird spot. Both him and Chiesa are right next to each other, but they're both trying to jump up. Alex, do you think that Luque would take a fight down in ranking to fight Chiesa just to keep active, or do you think both of them are going to kind of wait to see if any of the top guys come available?
No, I think he's going to fight anybody. I think he's hungry. He's one of those guys. He's got just a huge name that he just beat. He just defeated Tyron. I'm sure his management is working. I don't know where he is on his contract too as well. But it's just that there right now. It's all about getting as much activity involved, because that is a stacked top tier with everybody trying to get in and trying to get that getting in the top 5. So it's in my opinion, I think he would take another fight, especially with how crowded the
just to stay busy.
Yeah, exactly.
Brandon, what do you think's next for Luque? And I think it's funny, you just talked about off air how if you look at the Bellator 255 card coming up this weekend, and we'll talk about it a little bit, Roger Huerta's on there. And before Roger Huerta, nobody talked about fighter free agency, and now we just talked about it twice. Like Alex just brought up, we don't know what Luque's contract's like. That's something we would have never talked about before ever. And obviously Woodley fighting out his contract. You got people like Benson Henderson that jump one way. You got Michael Chandler jump the other way. Eddie Alvarez, obviously the famous case. It's just kind of crazy, how much, I'll talk about it later about what I think about Roger Huerta still fighting, but the fact is that he started all this. It's kind of crazy. What do you think's next for Luque?
I would be down for a Luque Nate Diaz fight, but I'm pretty sure Nate Diaz.
I heard that call out. I couldn't believe he said that.
Yeah, I'm saying he. Nate Diaz, he's not trying to get that fight. But the next.
Even Alex was shaking his head.
Yeah,
no.
Yeah, but the next choice would be for him and Chiesa to fight because like you said, they're right there in rankings, and they're both free right now. So I just think that probably would be the best fight for both guys.
And I would assume Luque could fight pretty quickly because the fight was done in the first round, so he didn't take much damage. He took like 1 or 2 shots and rocked him, but he didn't take much damage. Let's move on real quick, a couple other fights, and then we'll bounce on to our picks and get everybody out of here. I picked Thomas Almeida. Maybe I should have looked at the history because here's an ironic fact for Thomas Almeida. The last time Stipe fought Ngannou at 220, Thomas Almeida was also on that card, and he lost to Rob Font. So maybe I should have thought ahead a little bit when I picked Thomas Almeida. I still kind of stick to the fact that I thought Thomas Almeida could have beat Sean O'Malley. I think he missed a lot of opportunities. I think he got rocked a couple times by O'Malley's power and length and range. Just that you don't see anybody that weight class that long. It kind of reminds me back in the day, for anybody that's a boxing fan, used to be a boxer named Paul Williams, fought like 170, but he was like, he fought like 140s or something like that at one point, eventually went up to 170, but he was so much taller and so much more range, kind of like how Stefan Struve was in the heavyweight division. Like if he really wanted to keep you outside of him, there's nothing you can do. And I don't think Thomas Almeida ever got comfortable coming inside, especially when he almost got knocked out in the first round. But I will say this about this fight. Sugar Sean proved to a lot of people wrong. He fought a very tough guy. He did what he was supposed to do. But his leg is not right. It could be just the fact he wasn't used to switching stances. It could be a number of factors. But he was limping noticeably throughout that fight. And as everybody in the world was looking at that leg and that ankle because of what happened last fight, everybody noticed it. So if you get him in a fight with a wrestler or somebody else that can take him down or is just not afraid to get caught coming in, I feel like O'Malley might have some trouble. Alex, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think in terms of this fight.
And don't get me wrong, O'Malley is a problem for anybody because of his range.
Oh, 100%. Fighting tall, lanky people is like the worst. I hate it. But I think in this case, I think Almeida just effed up, man. He didn't fight the right game plan on this one. I think he was really relying on his abilities, his natural abilities on this one, and didn't really apply a little bit more thought into the kicking game. Maybe because he anticipated that O'Malley was going to be prepared for it, but even then, O'Malley wasn't really that much. He didn't really was trying to.
He caught O'Malley a couple times.
Yeah, exactly. He did. You're right, because O'Malley really wasn't that concerned about him, and that O'Malley, what impresses me about him is his fucking mental state, man. He's a stud as an athlete. But also just his ability to perform and have so much belief in himself and just dominate fights that way, just on pure, energy that he brings into that cage, man. It really is overwhelming to his opponent. And you saw that in this last fight. And I think it was a big, they dropped the ball. I think Almeida's team dropped the ball on this one. And really weren't able to really capitalize on the known Achilles heel of Sean O'Malley, literally.
Yeah, Brandon, like he threw a couple leg kicks at him, Brandon, and you could see it hurt Sean, but then Sean threw one back at him and it hurt him. And once he got hurt from Sean O'Malley throwing the same thing, he seemed to slow down and not do it anymore. When the entire time, I mean, I think O'Malley checked 1 or 2 of the kicks, but the entire time he still kept his leg right in front. If I'm his coach, I'm screaming every time he switched back to go to right-handed stance. Like whenever he switched back to right-handed to throw his power shots, because he kept going left-handed to protect that leg. Whenever he switched back to orthodox, I would have said leg kick, leg kick, leg kick. Like I would have been screaming it from the corner. What do you think of that?
Yeah, no, he definitely Almeida definitely did catch O'Malley with those leg kicks, but he just wasn't throwing enough of them. He just got away with it. He was trying to use his hand speed because Thomas Almeida was known for his hand speed. So I think he was trying to box with O'Malley, but O'Malley was just coming from all over. He was using his hands, he was using his legs, and again he was just piecing up Almeida. I mean, this fight did go 3 rounds, but if you remember that first round, O'Malley had he followed
up, he was out.
Exactly, he had Almeida hurt. but he was trying to get that walk off, but it wasn't a walk off. You know,
So I will say, if you look at the replay, and you didn't know it unless you saw the replay, even though Almeida got knocked down,
yeah,
he was there. Like he was like his eyes were there. Like he got hurt, but he was able to get right back up. Like he wasn't out. Like now, but if O'Malley had fired one more shot, he probably would have been. But he definitely was still there for the toughness of Almeida. But go ahead. I'm sorry. Keep going.
So I was saying. So I mean, you know, we're just talking about like, you know, O'Malley and his mistakes and, you know, his mental toughness. But that right there was a mental error right there. It's like, yo, you go and like Derek Lewis says, you know, you go until the ref pulls you off. Same thing with Francis Ngannou, man. You know, Stipe was out, but he still came in with that hammer fist. You know, it's like, yo, it's the ref job to stop you. You know.
Let me say this real quick about Ngannou. I have been very critical of Herb Dean forever, especially back since the Dan Hardy situation. Very critical, and deservedly so. For every fan person that's coming out right now and bashing Herb Dean for not stopping that fight this weekend fast enough, they're out of their freaking mind, because he literally did it's almost like a famous dash now, him trying to come across the cage. But no referee in that business could have got to that position faster to stop Ngannou. Ngannou is lightning quick. The way the fighters turned, that knockout you could not have seen coming unless like you were a fortune teller. So Herb Dean was circling away from the action. Ngannou and Stipe stopped, changed directions, and then it was a knockout, and Stipe fell away from where Herb Dean was standing. Herb Dean got there. As soon as he saw him falling, you could see Herb Dean go. So I bash Herb Dean a lot. I will say I think it was a great job by him to get in there. I don't think any referee, not Mark Goddard, not Jason Herzog, not anyone would have got in there any faster than what Herb did. So I just want to, if I bash you, I want to be respectful and say it the other way too, just to be fair. I do think Sean O'Malley has some flaws. Can he fix them? He's still a young ass, like super young fighter. But the question really is not whether he has flaws. I think the question really is what's next. Brandon, who do you think he should fight next?
I got two options. One, I say he gets that rematch with Chito Vera, so that way they can, you know, settle things.
Oh, Vera was chomping at the bit on Twitter when he saw it. He's like, oh man, I got this dude.
Yeah. Or if not, I could see Sean O'Malley versus Davey Grant.
That's one. What do you think, Alex? Who do you think pops up in your mind to fight Sean?
I think the Vera fight needs to happen, man. I think both of those fighters are in such a good position for that fight. You know, man, I don't
think Vera's going to fight him right now. I think if Vera's like just loving the fact that it eats under O'Malley's skin that he's got that win. I think they may fight again eventually. I don't think it's going to be anytime soon. I think Vera's like eating it up that he has that over him. Well,
it depends. Yeah, you're right. And you're right. Vera's team is probably taking care of that. I don't know who his manager is and who's managing Vera. But yeah, that makes all the sense in the world. Sean O'Malley needs to bury that hatchet.
What do you think about the name Dominic Cruz? Because Dominic called out Sean O'Malley after that. Dominic said, "I'll take that fight."
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome, and that's a great matchup. Actually, you want to put O'Malley at the top. That's your door right there, man.
O'Malley's leg's going to be ripped off if Dominic Cruz gets a hold of him with those leg kicks.
Yeah, you know, Dominic's not known for his leg kicks though. He's known for his. He throws
those little dart leg kicks, like little jump in, jump out.
He's got that knee tap. You know, he's more. I think he would wrestle. I think stylistically speaking, I think Dominic Cruz would wrestle. Would try to out wrestle Sean O'Malley in a fight. I think that's the route that he would do. He would just keep him on his heels the whole time, wrestle, and then just try to put pressure on him and keep him on the ground.
I'll throw one name out there nobody's talked about, because I do feel the problem with Sean O'Malley is his height and his range and his ability to get you from any angle at a distance. I think people like, you know, Brandon's teammate Jimmy Rivera would have problems because of that height and range. I think Cody Stamen would have problems. I think Kyler Phillips, as hot as he is, would have problems because these are all shorter fighters. I think Jimmy's 5'4", Brandon? 5'5"?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's like 5'4".
you're fighting a guy that's almost 6 feet tall. That's a problem if he can keep making that weight. I think the guy I think would be a fun fight. It's not going to be a big money fight, but I would love to see him fight Merrick. Like Merrick Valishvili, he has no like fear of trying to take you down. Like, you know what he's coming in to do. He's coming in to try to wrestle you and take you down. And that's the one challenge I don't think they've put in front of Sean yet to see if he could. I'm not saying he can't stop a wrestler. And Merrick's another dude who's only like 5'4", 5'5". But he's not going to be afraid, and he's going to try to take Sean O'Malley down. And we're going to get to see if Sean has that part of his game before he steps up in there against somebody like Dominic, somebody like Pedro Munoz, some of these other guys that are more higher ranked fighters. But at that height and that range, he's a problem. Real quick before we make our picks, Brandon, I'm going to give you the floor on this one too. Your pick didn't go so well for you. She had her moments. She had her chances, a lot of chances. But Miranda Maverick looks like she's the truth. She looks like she's every bit of a potential down the road opponent for somebody like Valentina in that weight class. What did you think of that fight with Jillian? I know you thought Jillian had her chances.
Yeah, no, it was a good fight. Miranda Maverick, she did what she was supposed to do. Man, that's how it is with Jillian. Like, with Jillian, is like, hey, if she gets you down to the ground, it's her world. She can dominate, but standing up, man, that's her problem. She really needs to get better. She needs to get better at that. She was a little bit better than her last couple of fights, but I mean, Maverick, man, striking was just all over. She had hands, she had kicks, she even had
power.
Her clinch game. Yeah, she had the power too. I mean, it was a good fight. Props to Maverick. Like I said, I've been watching her since she was in Invicta. So I definitely watched her grow up, in the fight game. So kudos to her. Jillian, man, just got to go back and she just has to reset. Like to me, that thing was her, man. She just really needs to work on her striking.
Yeah, she just couldn't get her positions the way she wanted to. All right, guys, let's make some picks and I'll let you guys get out of here. No UFC card this weekend, so we'll get to UFC next week, but I wanted to pick something since we got Alex on the show. So get some picks from Alex. He's been in Bellator too. Bellator 255, finally back in action. Pitbull versus Sanchez 2. We all know what Patricio Pitbull brings to the table. Emmanuel Sanchez is as tough as they come. But the last time they fought, Pitbull was the man. Go ahead and start with this one. I got Pitbull. I don't see it any other way. Alex, what do you think?
I got Pitbull on this one, man. Mike, Brandon, thank you guys so much. I got to bounce, but that's my pick for the Bellator guys.
Make me one more pick real quick. Usman Nurmagomedov versus Mike Hamilton.
Nurmagomedov, man.
I figured you would say that.
Dude, there's no way. There's that the wrestling. These guys know anything about that Dagestani wrestling.
I just wanted to hear you say Dagestani wrestling. All right, Alex, thank you so much, man. You have a good one. I appreciate you coming on the show. We'll have you back on soon, man.
Anytime, brother.
Patricio Pitbull, Emmanuel Sanchez, who you got and why?
Man, I just got Pitbull, man. I gotta go with the champ, and still, man, until I see somebody beat him, man, he just looks good, man. Dude, his striking has gotten so much better. Like you saw his last fight, he stopped, he stopped his opponent. I mean, his power's getting up there. I mean, like Sanchez has good cardio. Like, man, maybe he could drag this fight out into 5 rounds and maybe catch Pitbull. But to me, man, as of right now, man, just Pitbull is just on another level right now.
Do you think Sanchez's range at all? Like, because he's not a big fighter, but he is 3 inches taller than Pitbull. Pitbull's a little smaller. Do you think that plays any kind of factor?
No, because to me, like, I mean, Sanchez does have good striking.
Distance last time.
Yeah, I do want to say, like, Sanchez does have good striking. He does come from a good camp with Duke Rufus. So I mean, he knows how to kickbox and everything like that. But to me, man, I just feel like Sanchez is just a grinder. He wants to grind you out. He wants to tire you out and then finish you off. Submission. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, cool. We just talked about it. Khabib's cousin. Khabib's going to be in his corner. Khabib's kind of like fully flipped over to coaching mode now. He's all about being there. I think he's kind of living vicariously a little bit because he did make a promise he's not going to fight. But I clearly don't think it's out of his system. But he is, you know, we talked about it before. If he says something, he's sticking to it, and it is what it is. But Usman, Nurmagomedov, Mike Hamill, who you got?
I mean,
making his U.S. debut, by the way, in Usman.
Yeah, I mean, I got to go with Nurmagomedov because this dude's undefeated. He's 11-0. Until somebody beats him, then that's when we can go on something. But I mean, I want to say, man, props to him, man. He's making his U.S. debut, and he's coming in as a co-main. Like that's some big stuff right there. Hopefully, you know, the bright lights don't get him. But I just think training with his cousin, I think Khabib will have him well prepared, and I just think he's probably gonna get that W wrestling. You know, maybe it'll be a finish in like the second round, or it could go all 3 rounds.
I mean, I honestly don't see it going any other way, and I don't even think the Dagestani wrestling is going to come into play. The guy knocks out most of his opponents, and I think Mike Hamill. I mean, I'm sure he's a tough guy. I don't know really much about him. He just lost his last fight in August by split decision against Adam Borix, but I just don't see. I feel like he's like kind of like a feeder opponent to get Usman going in the U.S. And I think I don't think it's a question. I think Usman's going to come in there, overwhelm him, and win this fight. But since we both are now on the same page for this one, the only way we're going to be different is if you go ahead and pick me another fight. Tell me what you're thinking.
Man, this was a little toss-up on which fight to go with, but I'm going to go with Jason Jackson versus Neiman Gracie. Reason being is because, man, I mean, I've been a fan of Jason Jackson since he was on the
You picked against him last time. I was the only one that picked him against Benson.
I know, but that's because I was a Benson Henderson
you were
fan
always
too.
A fan. Come on,
no,
man.
But I am a fan of Jason. But when he went up against Benson Henderson, I was a Hendo fan.
God bless his soul, but you and Sergio, y'all are all against me on that one. I finally got to tell you both I was right.
But on this fight, I am going with Jason Jackson, man. He's been on a tear, man. He's been looking real sharp. I think he's finally hit his stride, and I think his striking really is going to be too much for Neiman Gracie. That's what I think is going to win him the fight. Is going to be his striking.
I think it's going to be a fun fight, and don't get mad at me, Jason, but I actually think Neiman's going to win this fight. I think the grappling is just a world of difference, and I think if you can, I'm not a John Fitch fan. I think John Fitch is well past his prime, but he's still dangerous. And I think if you can submit John Fitch, I think, and you got that Gracie last name, and I've never seen Jason Jackson in any kind of grappling match. We know Benson Henderson can obviously get it done on the ground as well, but I've never seen him in a grappling match. And I think Neiman's just going to take it to the ground, and we're going to have to see if Jason Jackson is an all-around fighter and not just a striker. I think Neiman's going to probably win that fight. My pick is actually also because of a fight change, so I might be taking the easy way out here. But Terrell Fortune was supposed to fight Matt Mitrione. That was actually supposed to be the co-main, I believe, before they moved things around. He's now fighting Jack May, who's stepping up on less than a week's notice. But I'm not just picking Terrell Fortune because of who the opponent is. I think I would have picked him against Matt Mitrione too. Terrell Fortune, he had like one hiccup, while he was rising up not too long ago. But Terrell Fortune has a load of talent. Like, this kid is every bit the possible next heavyweight contender. He got caught by Tim Johnson. I mean, Tim Johnson's a vet. He's done that to a number of people. He got caught against it. Ironically, him and Jack May fought once before. So it's not like Jack May doesn't know who he's training for. They had the accidental knee to the groin to stop the fight. But since then, he's bounced back. He beat Soma. So my pick is Terrell Fortune. I think this kid's just going to keep rising up. I'd like to see him running back with Tim Johnson at some point, maybe see if it was a fluke or not. They don't have a bunch of heavyweights that are available right now. But I'd like to see it. You see that going any other way?
I think it's Terrell's Fortune fight to lose. Like you say, he was on the he was on the trend upward. He did have that.
He's undefeated.
Where he did get stopped. But yeah, I just think Terrell Fortune is just gonna be another W for him on Friday night.
Yeah, and not to think that Jack May is a pushover. I mean, first of all, Jack May, a vet, he's 39 years old, he's been around, and he's huge. If you've never seen this guy before, he's 6'8". Like he's like not Stefan Struve huge, but he's huge. And he has lost a lot of fights. He lost to Noblet recently, Quintero, Nicholson. He's not been really successful in a long time. But early in his career, he was, knocking people out and beating people. And here's a little known fact. He also has been knocked out by Derek Lewis, but that was back in 2014 when he was in the UFC fighting Derek Lewis, Chase Sherman, and Sean Jordan. So he's fought some high-quality guys. He didn't win those fights. He got knocked out in all three of them, to be honest. But he's a big, tough dude, and if he lands, he lands. So something to be said for. Brandon, I will let you get out of here. It's been a fun show. We had Alex Soto on. Make sure you guys give Alex a follow. I'll, of course, have all the links in the show notes. Real quick before we get out, make sure you support the show, Art of MMA. We got the brand new Gracie tee, which you can see on top in the little banner area above this broadcast. Promo code Gracie, save 20% site-wide this week only. So get it or it's gone. Make sure you guys go ahead and get that tee or get in the other ones. MMA versus everybody. Way of the fist. We got a bunch of cool stuff. I'm starting to think about doing a prize fighter shirt so somebody don't steal my idea. But the way Brandon and even Alex said that they're prize fighters, they fight for money. That might be a good slogan to throw on a t-shirt. I don't know, but something to be thought of. Brandon, you got anything else you want to add before we take off today?
Yeah, guys, don't forget CFFC. They got 2 shows this week, Thursday and Friday. Got my teammate Solomon Renfro, who's fighting on Thursday night. So, hey, if you guys are going to watch any day, just make sure you guys watch Thursday.
So he's bouncing back. Who's he fighting against?
Oh, dang, why can't I remember his name? Sorry, I don't remember his name right now, but he's fighting a tough guy because I think his guy's record is I think he only has 1 loss as well. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was unfortunate. Like he was winning that fight last time too before he got caught. So I'm excited to see Solomon back. That kid has a lot of explosive potential, both on the ground and on his feet. So I'm excited to see him. Obviously, Tiger Schulman's product, so you always know what to expect with those guys. I think that's about it, Brandon. You got anything else?
Nope, that's it.
All right. Well, make sure you visit artofmma.com/shop. Support the show. Support us. Make sure you leave a comment. Like and subscribe if you enjoy what we're doing. We want to talk to everybody, so leave a comment. Check every episode. You guys leave a comment. Brandon and I leave a comment. We're all about it. Question will be for today, though. If you go in the comments section, let me know. Does Jon Jones want that smoke? Let me know. So for Alex Soto, Brandon Cuttino, and RIP to the Hurt Business, I'm Mike Ginn. We'll see you next week. This is Art of MMA.
Oh my God.